Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're going to be going over brand new shocking polls from the California 2026 governor's race in the jungle primary, meaning the top two candidates advance regardless of party. But before we get started with the brand new shocking polls, make sure you guys are subscribed, click the bell so you don't miss out my content, press the like button, share this video. Don't forget, if you're interested, we have memberships. You can find links to that in the description section. So we're going to be applying what the polls are suggesting in this California governor's race to the actual 2026 midterm governor's map overall with all the other states as a whole. And we're going to be deep diving into the polls on the Real Clear Politics RCP polling averages, which we used a lot back in the 2024 presidential election. If you were with me back then, and that's when I actually, this channel was thriving was actually the most. So we have a new poll that just got released yesterday, or today, the day I'm recording this actually, and it was within over 1,000 likely voters, in which top two candidates advancing are Republican. So it's not one Republican, one Democrat. No, they're both Republican. Chad Bianco at 14 tied with Steve Hilton. Polls time and time again continue to show that it's neck and neck, and whoever wins, it's not going to be by much, and it's top two advancing. So Republicans don't, in order for them to win, they must get two Republicans at the top of the ticket. They need two Republicans at first and second place. It can't be, oh, one Republican gets first, but the other gets third. No, it needs to be first and second. It can't be one in third or one in fourth. Even if there is a Republican in first place, the other Republican candidate must also be in second place. I will make that clear. So we take a look at aside from that one poll that just got released, we look at the averages. Hilton, the Republican, is up by one on average, 14.7%, as you can see right here. Now, in this scenario, Democrats will elect a Democratic governor because Swalwell is second place. So all Democrats need is to get to second place, at least one candidate to get to second place, not even first. Because, like I said, top two advance in California will obviously elect a Democratic governor overwhelmingly, because they obviously have more votes. It's just really split right now. That's why you see Republicans winning back and forth. So if that's the case, they just need second place. And right now, as of right now, they will be electing Swalwell. And by the way, his polls will decline because he is going to face reality, in which he is facing new accusations of harassment towards women, and that story might break soon. If that's the case, expect his poll numbers to drop. It already has on the betting markets or odds. Bianco at third place. Like I said, Bianco must get to second place in order for Republicans to elect a Republican governor, for sure, guaranteed. Katie Porter actually at 11%. I think anyone below Tom Steyer should drop out. I personally think Katie Porter should already drop out, and I know she's slightly ahead of Steyer, but in reality, Steyer probably has a better chance at becoming the governor than Katie Porter. I think Steyer should actually climb in the polls, and Swalwell will decline because of his new harassment scandal. So if that's the case, I think it's more realistic to say that Steyer wins if it were to be a Democrat. Now, if it's a Republican, it's 50-50 between Hilton and Bianco, but polls consistently show that Hilton is ahead of Bianco in the Republican side because Donald Trump has just recently endorsed Steve Hilton. So if that's the case, some Republicans who want to support Steve Hilton might have to vote for Bianco and sacrifice their vote because he needs to get to second place. So if you're a Republican, listen, if you want a Republican governor in California, even if you want to vote for Hilton, he is in first place, and you might have to sacrifice your vote for Bianco in order for him to get to second place. Because even if it's a Democrat at second place and a Republican at first, they will still elect a Democratic governor. So Emerson, a highly trustworthy pollster, has Swalwell up by 4, but that's about last month. So polls keep fluctuating, changing, and they're consistently showing that they're going to elect a Republican governor because Democrats just keep splitting the vote. As you can see from the latest poll, the Democrats have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 candidates, up to 9 candidates. That's a lot of candidates. It's not like Republicans are doing good, they're not. It's because there's just too many Democratic candidates, and some of them need to drop out. Like I said, if any candidate is below Katie Porter, they need to drop out. There's no way they think they can win. Xavier Becerra should drop out. Matt Mahan should drop out. Betty Yee should drop out. And especially the candidate at zero, polling at 0 points, should drop out. That's if you're the Democrats, that's exactly what you want. Now, aside from all the talking from California, let's begin with the map, the governor's map. So this is how it would look like for the 2026 midterms governor's election, gubernatorial, if Republicans were to win the California race for the first time in a very long time. Lean red. That's California as if right now. You can argue tilt depending on the margin. Right now, RCP on the average has it +1 for Hilton. It should go up, by the way, because the new polls have not been added yet. So I would say characterize it as lean. So according to the rest of these polls, Nevada is also on RCP for the governor's race. Let's take a look at Joe Lombardo, who's very popular, by the way. He's only up by 0.5%, half of a percentage point, according to the averages. Emerson, highly trustworthy pollster, has it a dead tie. So this actually suggests it's going to be extremely close, and Ford actually may end up winning this. I know that's really horrible numbers for a popular incumbent Republican, and Nevada is one of those states that typically likes Republican governors, and it's the total opposite for the Senate. They like Democratic senators. So I would characterize it tilt R for now. And then Arizona, looks like Katie Hobbs is going to win. She faced a very flawed candidate in Carrie Lake back in 2022. You can argue if Republicans nominated anyone else, like Taylor Robinson, then the Republicans, Katie Hobbs would have lost. She ran a shadow campaign. She was not campaigning at all, and she ended up still winning somehow because Carrie Lake is just such a flawed candidate. So Arizona, as of right now, shows that if it's against Robinson, then Hobbs wins by 1.5. If it's against Andy Biggs, then Hobbs wins by 3 points. So clearly, Taylor Robson, is a better candidate than Andy Biggs for the Republicans. And right now, the primary is up in the air, but it shows that Biggs is probably going to be the nominee, which will be even more beneficial towards the Democratic Party because Hobbs polls better against Biggs than she does against Robson, and it looks like that Republicans are on track to nominate Biggs, who is the worst polling candidate. Robson is the better candidate. So as of right now, we can characterize Arizona as a lean Democratic state for Katie Hobbs, regardless if you think she should lose or not. So then, this is the map so far. You have the state of Georgia. You have the Republican candidate. Let's see who that may be. That's most likely going to be Ricky Jackson. I believe that's his name. He's more than likely going to be the Republican nominee. And they don't necessarily have a Republican versus Democratic poll, so we're just going to totally skip this right now. But Jackson is the Republican nominee, and he's going to win by a lean margin. Georgia almost every single time votes for a Republican governor. The closest it has gotten in a while, I believe, is in 2018. Brian Kemp only won by 2 points against Stacey Abrams, but that year was really good for Democrats, which it's going to be the same in 2026. So, they won by only 2. So I can see Republicans only winning this race by just a couple percentage points, but Democrats will definitely do better in the Senate, don't get me wrong. They would win, Ossoff wins by like 3 percentage points. And then as for Iowa goes, RCP doesn't necessarily have a poll for the governor's race just yet. I'm not sure if they're going to add it or not, but I'm going to say characterize it lean Republican. Democrats definitely have a better shot at flipping Iowa's governorship race rather than the Senate race. And Ohio's a little bit interesting. Polls have gone back and forth between Vivek Ramaswamy and Amy Acton. Ramaswamy is not a strong Republican candidate whatsoever. He's never ran for public office before. He was never a politician until recently, up in 2023. And since that's the case, he's not going to be polling very strongly. And I think people in Ohio really probably favor Acton over Ramaswamy. Now, don't get me wrong, he's up by just 0.4%. That's actually not good. That's really not good. And I know early on, Ohio polls strongly suggest Democrats win, and then their lead narrows down as we get closer to November. That's typical. That's what happened to Sherrod Brown. At first, he was winning, but then the polls showed he was going to lose as we got closer to Election Day. That may or may not happen, and if it does not happen, Amy Acton can very well win. But for the sake of the averages, then Ramaswamy barely wins. It's basically a toss-up at this point. But tilt red, Wisconsin. Mandela Barnes is probably going to be the Democratic nominee going up against the Republican nominee, most likely Tiffany. And if that's the case, then I think Barnes will narrowly pull this off. Now, the only reason Republicans can win Wisconsin's governor's race is because they are recently coming off of a Democratic leadership in Tony Evers, who's no longer facing re-election. And even when he was winning, it wasn't by the greatest amount, just by about 2 to maybe 3 percentage points or so. So I wouldn't be shocked if Republicans do nominate, or actually do elect, a Republican governor in the state of Wisconsin. But because it's a blue wave year, I'm going to say Barnes narrowly pulls out the victory by a tilt margin. And then in Michigan, I think Republicans probably have the best hopes of flipping that state out of all the Rust Belt states. Out of the 3, Michigan, definitely John James is a strong Republican candidate. That's what they want. Not only that, this is a 3-way race. You have Benson, the Democrat, who is getting basically, it's not good for her. Duggan is the independent candidate, and he's getting 20 points. That's not good if you're Benson. Therefore, John James is winning by 3.5, according to the polling averages. Now, we haven't had a Michigan poll since early January, so you can see his lead has shrunk a little bit from November to January from 6 to 2%. So if that's the case, we've still yet to see. And since this by the way, I think this is pre-Iranian war, so it might get really close. But because Duggan is that factor there, you can see John James winning by a lean margin. Republicans would be so fortunate if they won this, but it's not going to matter. Obviously, this doesn't really determine who wins the Senate. I think the Senate is more important. And then Pennsylvania, obviously, in general, for the Republican Party. I mean, obviously, the governor's race is important, especially for the citizens of Michigan. So Pennsylvania is going to be likely blue. Or we're not going to look at the polls there. Josh Shapiro is most likely going to win this state. He won by 14 points last time against Doug Mastriano. If you thought he was a bad candidate, take a look at what the Republicans are nominating now. No one even knows who that is. So, likely blue, probably about 8 percentage points. It's going to shrink just a little bit, just because, even though it's a more blue wave year, just because people are just anti-Israel this time around. So, 21 to 29, that's the map so far. California is red in this case. According to the latest polls, I believe this is how the map would look like. Or actually, this is what the polls are suggesting. So this is not my map. Let me know if you agree with the polls, which states you agree with, which states you disagree with, why or why not in the comment section down below. One last final reminder is to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss on my content. Press the like button, share this video. Don't forget we have memberships. If you're interested, you can find links in the description section. Thank you, everyone.